Hello everybody at Enchanted Emerald. This is Melissa bringing you another reading, and this is going to be for the energy for this coming weekend, November 6th and 7th, 2021. As always, as we step into the energy here, my go-to deck is the deck that I use, the traditional Rider-Waite deck. And we step into the energy here for Saturday with the King of Wands, and moving into Sunday, we get the Page of Pentacles with the Five of Cups, okay? And I'll go over the self-care cards in the end because that's our self-care Sunday. I love self-care Sunday. I always feel that it is important to be focused on our self-care, and so that is why I always pull self-care cards if we're doing a Sunday reading, okay? So for Sunday, Page of Pentacles and Five of Cups. What I feel for this reading is, I think it's important to note first that the King of Wands and the Page of Pentacles, they have their back to each other. But the Page of Pentacles was actually, gosh, I know everything is reversed, it's weird. He was facing the Five of Cups. So if you were looking at that as like a full read, that's what it would look like. So I think it was important to note that because I feel as though the Page of Pentacles, someone who is just learning their worth or learning about their worth, has got their back to the King of Wands, someone who has wisdom about them, okay? So I feel like this is exactly where we're stepping into a space of wisdom and our knowing of our desires and our truths. And I really feel that it's important also to bring up what was on the bottom of the deck, which is the Ten of Wands, because Spirit is using the word distraught as we step into this energy. So someone who's very upset, you know, has a lot of worries or agitation, right? Someone who's really sad, feeling like they're very much carrying this heavy burden, heavy load, okay? Really feeling like you're feeling things are hard right now. And I hear you, I really do. I hear you. Things can feel hard right now. But I want you to be mindful of what story you're telling yourself about the things that you're going through, okay? I don't want you to convince yourself that you can't do these things, right? There are things that we have to do right now, things that we don't want to do, right? Doesn't mean that we can't do them. It just means that we don't want to do them, right? But we have to do things that we don't want to do sometimes. And I feel as though as you go through some of these things, I feel like you might be hearing a voice inside your head, like a voice of someone from childhood, maybe a father figure. It was a male figure for sure. It could be a father figure, could be like an uncle or grandfather. There is a male figure, I feel as though, that you're listening to inside your head. You hear this person saying that you should do this or you shouldn't do this. This is what I'm hearing, okay? This could be a specific message, that one for someone in particular. It could apply to several people. I know that this is a general reading, but I wanted to relay that because that was something that had come through. So I feel as though as you go through these things, I feel like you might be feeling like you're just going with the tides, right? You're just like getting washed up on the shores with the tides, and you might be feeling like you're being pummeled by those tides, right? Like you get caught up in this rip tide and you feel like you have no control, okay? And so you're trying to cling to what you know, cling to what brings you security, and that brings you security, right? And that when you were younger and you had this voice telling you what to do, it was almost like you didn't have to think for yourself. You didn't have to make these big decisions. You didn't have to make choices for yourself that were really difficult to make at times, right? This person kind of guided you and told you what would be best for you, and you took this person for their word, right? You really trusted this person. This person was your rock. And I understand that. And so you might be reliving some of those moments where you're hearing that voice in your head and you're just trying to do what would make that person proud, right? You're trying to honor that person, right? Bring that into what you have now and incorporate that. And what I feel through all of that is you've allowed yourself to come to a space maybe where you feel invisible to the outer world, right? Or you've allowed yourself to be invisible, right? You're just going along, you're doing what you're told by other people because it makes you feel safe because you're not making these decisions for yourself. You're doing what you're told, or what you feel would be this person, what they would tell you to do, what would be the safe option, what would be the best bet, what they would do, what they would want you to do, right? And in all of this, I feel it's like you've cut yourself off of your intuition almost, right? Like you've cut yourself out of the decision-making process. You are no longer thinking for yourself. And so in that essence, you have become invisible as well. And so you're basing your decisions off of arbitrary things. And, well, I don't want to say arbitrary, but in terms of you having your own independence and control and exerting that authority in your life, it's not happening, right? And so you are giving your power away, in essence, right? And all along through this whole process, you might have issues as a result in now stepping forward and trying to make those decisions on your own accord. And your self-esteem might be suffering just a little bit as a result of that. And so now you're like looking back in the past and thinking about certain circumstances, certain instances in which, okay, so maybe now in your life you are feeling powerless. Where in the past did you feel powerless? Where did you give your power away? Where did you allow others to tell you what to do or dictate, how things transpired? And so now you're feeling that even kind of like expounds that low self-esteem, because now you're feeling like, gosh, why did that happen? Why did I do that? Right? You're kind of like second guessing all of that. And so it's important because you kind of like want to erase that whole era, right? You want to act like that never happened, but it did, and it led you to where you are now, and it makes you sad. It might make you sad. So at this point in time, that's what that 5 of Cups is, right? You're grieving the past. You're recognizing that happened. You're recognizing where you gave your power away in the past. And you're recognizing now that this is a pattern that's been happening, and a pattern that you don't want to repeat. And so that's where you're stepping into this King of Wands. You really see this for what it is, right? For the reality of it, for what has happened. And you want to make changes going forward, and you're ready to do that because you're equipped with the knowledge and know-how to make those changes and to move forward in a different way, because you know your worth now. You really are stepping into knowing your worth. And so with this, it's like you're offering your inner child when you are working through some of these emotions associated with the past. As you bring it up, allow it to surface, to heal, allow yourself to feel some of those things. Offer your inner child, that little version of you, that forgiveness, that love, that acceptance from your older self, from you as you are now, that you were seeking from other people back then, right? You did things that you were told to seek acceptance from your outer world, to be loved, right? To get all of those reactions from the people in your external. You did what you were told, or you did what you felt was safe, right? And now, here you are in your own right, able to do that on your own. And so, even though you were an adult and you might have made those mistakes, right, where you gave that power away, someone was telling you what to do and you allowed that, it's okay. heal that inner child, right? Once you heal that inner child, offer that inner child some love. This is what happened. I no longer have to allow others to tell me what to do. I can make that decision. I know I can confidently make that decision. So you are offering yourself that love. And we're going to talk about that self-love here as we get into that Self-Care Sunday. So once you allow that to surface, to heal, to feel it, to acknowledge it, right? And you move forward in that grief, and you get through that to acceptance. You're no longer allowing the collateral damage to happen, right? Where you move through your path and you are attracting instances where that could repeat itself, or where others could be affected by your unhealed wounds, where you might lash out because you feel powerless, or you might lash out emotionally because you feel powerless. You're going to be setting boundaries. You're going to be assertive, because you can be assertive and not aggressive, right? You're going to be embracing your wisdom now and what you've learned, and you're going to carry yourself differently. There's going to be a whole new era about you as you start to step into growing your self-esteem and knowing your worth, okay? So as we get into Self-Care Sunday, that's what comes up out of the self-care deck now. We have awareness, right? In order for you to heal this, you have to be aware of it. So awareness says practice, present moment awareness. The meaning you yearn for lives in the ever-present now. Okay, so what lessons are you working on, and how can you incorporate them in your every single day, right? If you are working on boundaries, you can start with something really easy, someone who you feel safe with implementing that boundary with, because when you implement boundaries, it can be a bit of a backlash. It can get a little bit worse before it gets better, right? So starting to incorporate that into your every single day. If you're not working on boundaries, let's say you're working on manifesting something really great, right? Every time say you're working on manifesting wealth, right? Every time you exchange money with people, you're just going to be extending gratitude. Like, this is so great. I'm so grateful for this money. I love this. Thank you so much, Spirit, right? Whatever that looks like, you're incorporating it every day, all day. You're living it. And so bringing that into your awareness and bringing it into the now, okay? So you become aware of patterns that you're repeating. And when you start to feel uncomfortable when you are implementing those boundaries, you might want to say that ho'oponopo, right? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you, to your little inner child, right? And say it as many times as you need to until that fear or that anxiety or the uneasiness of doing that passes. And then we move into self-love. Okay, these two cards came out together. So self-love, care for your body. Self-love and self-acceptance are the ultimate acts of self-care. So how are you showing yourself kindness? How are you being kind to yourself? Not just Self-Care Sunday, but every day. How are you being kind to yourself every single day? What act of kindness are you randomly doing for yourself every day? Are you buying yourself a new pair of earrings for a couple dollars at the store? Are you making sure you're taking that extra time to put on that makeup that you feel confident and feel good in? Are you taking that extra time to do that yoga or to go for that run, right? Doing that for self-care. What does self-care look like to you? I feel like self-care and self-love can also extend to how we go back to what happened this weekend read, right? Owning our power. How are you owning your power? Are you saying yes when you want to say no, right? That's giving your power away. So say what you mean and mean what you say, okay? I think that also, the self-love, it can go back to routines and habits. And if you feel good and you feel better when you're journaling, do that. Honor that. Make time for that. Create space for yourself to meditate if you feel better when you're doing those things. And then self-love also comes down to how we extend love to others and accept love. Are you in a healthy relationship, in a loving relationship? And what does that look like? Right? These are things that are I'm just asking, just throwing it out there, because these are things that you can examine. And if you're not feeling loved in the way that you need to, what needs to change, and what conversation can you have with your loved ones about those things? And then when it comes to, also owning our power, there's a bit of surrender that happens, right? When we talk about like our divine plan and things that happen sometimes that we don't necessarily want to do, or that are happening that are kind of out of our control, so to speak, there's an element of surrender and trust, right? And so when you surrender to your higher power and trust that things will work out and ask the angels to help you, things tend to work out better than you could imagine. So making sure that you're asking for help, making sure you're setting your intentions, making sure that you don't get caught in a fear loop and trying to control things because you're introducing so much resistance to it that things become really unmanageable or really uncomfortable emotionally. Okay? And so that's that for me is part of my self-care, setting my intentions. For others, they call that prayer, right? Prayer to God and asking God or the angels to step in to help. And so, I feel that what comes around with that is when we talk about radical acceptance, seeing reality for what it is, and not attaching to your emotions, not attaching to the pain, not attaching to the suffering, seeing it for what it is, and then incorporating, okay, this is what's happening, where do we go from here, and how can I deal with this? Because you need to be able to adapt to that, okay? And part of that is some surrender, right? Because there will be things that we don't want to do that will show up for us, but we will grow through that. So, beautiful weekend read here for us, Enchanted Emerald viewers. And as always, not all general readings can resonate for everybody, but take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you're interested in your own personal reading, I'd love to be able to do that for you. You can hit me up at enchantedemeraldny@gmail.com or at the square site in the description box below here on YouTube. Or if you're catching me on Facebook, it's pinned right at the top of the Enchanted Emerald page. And as always, I will be back with another read for you guys again soon. Thank you so much. Take care.